Steady Steady Freefrommers. Today we are going to make something called mincemeat. Now this is nothing to do with meat, it is very much to do with mince pies, which again are nothing to do with mince, as in beef. So we are going to be making a fruit mix, which is traditionally known in England as mincemeat, and we put it in little pastry cases and we put it in tarts, and it can go in all kinds of things. So today we are going to make the actual mincemeat itself, which you can then use to put in pastries or tarts or whatever you want to do with it. Okay, so let's get cooking. Now this is a recipe that we are going to do on the stove. So we have a nice sized saucepan going on here, and we're going to put all of the ingredients into the saucepan, and I'll explain them as we go. Now the mixture that I came across was another Mary Berry recipe, and she's obviously a classic English cook, baker, and so she's a very good woman to get recipes off of to adapt to our way of eating. Now this recipe that she has got on Pinterest to make mincemeat is for 4 jam jars full of mincemeat, and I don't need that much, so I'm going to halve that recipe, and we've got the relevant ingredients here. Okay, so we're going to put all of the ingredients in here as we go. So I have apple here. Now she says cooking apple in the recipe, but I didn't have a cooking apple, I've only had an eating apple. So I've chopped this up into little pieces. The smaller the better, because yes, they do break down, but if you've got big chunks of apple into your mincemeat, it's not going to hold very well if you've got it in a small tart or in a little pie. So that's that. So we're going to pop those in. I just chopped them a few minutes ago, so it's not looking too bright. It's looking a bit yellowing, as it tends to go. Then we are going to add butter. Now the butter is instead of traditional suet, which they use in mincemeat normally. So that's a great alternative, because suet has obviously got all sorts of things in that we don't want to eat when we're gluten, grain-free, etc. So we can use butter instead. And then we've got a selection of ingredients. So there's a lot of dried fruit in this. So we have 85 grams of all of the fruit that's here, all right? So this is raisins. So we've got 85 grams of raisins. We've got 85 grams of sultanas. We've got 85 grams of, this is mixed fruit, so it's actually currants and sultanas and raisins. Okay, so that's those. So here I have some odds and sods, really, I call them, of dried fruit. So I've got some mixed berries. Aldi do a great little packet of mixed berries, and so I've got those. They're a mixture of cranberries and cherries. And there's no added sugar to them. And I've also got some dried apricots here, because the recipe suggested cranberries, but I didn't have any, so I've kind of like put together what I did have. So I'm going to chop this up, and this is 85 grams, and that's also going to go in the saucepan. So I've chopped up all of those now, and you can see the kind of size I've gone for. Just a rough chop. Some pieces are bigger, some pieces are smaller, but it's just a rough chop of all those ingredients. So we'll pop those in the saucepan now. We've got here 110 grams of honey, so we'll pop that in. Now here we have this is a grated lemon and kind of chopped skin as well of lemon. So you remember the frozen lemons that I keep? So this is half of a frozen lemon that's just kind of grated and also chopped. The skin was quite tricky to grate once I got to the other side, because it was starting to defrost. So I just chopped it up as finely as I could, and now I'm going to add that in as well. And that will add a lovely kick and kind of seasonal flavour, if you like, to the mincemeat. It's always quite Christmassy to have something citrus, isn't it, in there? So that's good. We've got 25 grams of chopped almonds. Now I've got almond flakes here, so I'm just going to break these down a little bit more so they're a bit finer. Now these can be toasted or untoasted, it doesn't matter. And these are going to add another texture to the mincemeat. So So there we go, there's the chopped almonds. You can see the kind of consistency I've gone for there. Some are big bits, some are small bits, but they're very fine, aren't they? Kind of very thin, the flaked almonds. So they'll be absolutely fine. And you don't even have to put them in if you don't want to. That's fine. So let's get some spices in here. Cinnamon is the first one to go in. So we're going for a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. Sprinkle that around, and we're going for a 1/2 teaspoon of mixed spice. So mixed spice, need to make sure there's nothing else added to it. Mixed spice is basically a combination of cinnamon, coriander seeds, nutmeg, cloves, pimento, ginger. They are the ingredients of mixed spice. So it's really quite a strong flavour, because there's some strong ingredients in it. So you've got cloves in there, which are very strong, as is nutmeg. So we're just going for 1/2 teaspoon. Just got my little 1/4 teaspoon here, so I'll do 2 of those. Okay, and that's got a beautiful smell to it, that you can really smell the cloves and the nutmeg in there, so that's great. So now we're going to pop it on the stove, and we're going to give it some cooking. So I just need to turn the heat down on this a bit. We don't want to be burning anything before the butter melts. So in here then, we've got all of the ingredients that you saw me pop in, and we're going to allow the butter to melt, and then we're going to let it simmer for about 10 minutes. Now the butter's not even melted yet, and I can smell all the flavours coming up from this. It's really lovely. So the butter's now melted, so we'll turn the heat down even further, because there's not very much liquid in here at all, and there shouldn't be. So I'll try and show you, because obviously you've got the, I don't know if you can see that liquid that's just in the bottom there. So all that's in there is the liquid that's coming out of the apples. We've obviously got the lemon juice and the butter. So there's not much liquid in there at all. So we turn the heat down, and we're going to leave it for about 10 minutes, but we're going to keep an eye on it. We don't want to be burning it. So I've turned the heat right down. Okay, so it's simmering away nicely there. You can just see the bubbles kind of bubbling away, so we're going to give it a stir. I can smell the lemon, the spices, dried fruit. Oh, it smells lovely. Okay, so the 10 minutes is up now, and I turned the heat down even further than I had before, because I was a bit concerned about the mixture drying out too much. The liquid at the bottom has gone. Okay, it's all been absorbed into the fruit and the nuts. And so this is ready now. Now bear in mind that this is going to be baked again. So when we make mince pies with it, which is what I'm going to do, then it will be baked again in the oven, okay? So any other cooking that's going to happen with it is going to happen then. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put it into a jar, which I've sterilised. And you sterilise jars by just pouring boiling, make sure that they're very clean, just wash them in the washing up and rinse them, and then pour boiling water into the jar and leave it there for 10 minutes, and that sterilises it. And if you put boiling water in the lid as well, get a little dish, put the lid in and put boiling water on that, then that will also sterilise the lid. And you don't need the little wax circles anymore, you don't have to have that. And this will keep for like 6 months in the fridge, so that you could make this massively in advance for Christmas. Obviously I'm not, but this will be just as good. Now I know that people do have alcohol in their mincemeat sometimes, so you can put brandy, rum or sherry in this if you wanted to. I'm not going to. If you wanted to, you would add 100 ml to this once it's cooked. So I'm going to turn this off now. So if I wanted to add alcohol, I would add it now. What you could do is add some apple juice to it if you wanted to, or even just some water to loosen it up a bit. So we're just going to leave that to cool a bit now before we put it in the jar. Okay, so I've popped it into the jar. So I had boiling water in this. It was a 900 g jar. Well, it still is a 900 g jar, but this mixture is about 800 grams, I reckon, in there. It's nearly full to the top. Next week I am going to make mince pies with this. So shall we do the tikka taste test? So it's really quite a meaty mixture. You can see the mixture glistening there and it looks lovely. So we're going to see what it tastes like. Oh, so many flavours coming through. Lemon. I can taste the spices, the fruitiness, because the dried fruit has absorbed all of that mixture, all that liquid. It's become really kind of plump and juicy. And then you've got the little, not kind of crunchy bits, but the different texture of the nuts that are there. That's lovely. And if you taste that in pastry, it's going to be divine. Yeah, that is really good. You know what would go great with this? Custard. I've got to figure out how to make custard. So, like, comment, share, do whatever you want to do. Make it, love it. And I will see you next time in the kitchen.